What's up, people? Getting into a Raw review today. Very, very interesting Raw. That main event, yeah, all looked proper. We saw CM Punk, of all people, make his return to WWE. I say return. He's been gone for what? Max 1-2 weeks or something like that. And he scuppered Seth Rollins' plans, where Seth Rollins looked like he was potentially about to become world heavyweight champion. So we're going to jump in and talk about everything that happened in that main event segment. But yeah, what's up, people? My name's Mex. I'm WrestleManiac. This is the WrestleManiac UK, and you're here tuned into your Raw review. Hit the like button, subscribe as well if you're new here, and drop a comments on your thoughts of Monday Night Raw and this main event segment. I've got a lot to say on it because I feel like, one, having the title defended on Raw, I think it helped. I think in a weird way, like we've been really talking about all the prestigiousness of this belt, and in what regard do we hold this title. I really felt like this helped to make Jey Uso's title wanted. The fact that someone came out and they've almost jumped the queue, because we know Logan Paul is the next challenger. They've almost jumped the queue to kind of say, I need this. And we'll obviously touch on some of Paul Heyman's promo, which I thought was excellent as well. That helped, kind of frame this all up. But yeah, this was a really, really strong segment, the main event segment, as well as obviously the beginning segment of the show with Paul Heyman and Jey Uso. And I feel like this is how we need to be building these titles in the interim. It's not just WrestleMania that makes a belt, special and stuff like that. We've all had our conversations and said our bits on Jey Uso and how we feel about Jey Uso. But I feel like this was a really good outing for him and that title. So yeah, we'll get into that as well today. Before we get into like the main stories, let's talk about some of the new stuff that's happened in the last 24 to 48 hours on the show, or in WWE, should I say. Well, two of these are WWE stories. One is an AEW story. Alberto Del Rio re-signing for WWE. Let's talk about it. And to be honest, if I'm completely honest, I'm still waiting for something more concrete to kind of come out of this. I don't feel like this has really been confirmed. I think it's more than speculation, but I'm still waiting for confirmation. So obviously the acquisition of AAA out in Mexico, there's going to be several Mexican performers in the WWE, same way WWE performers will be in AAA. I think Humberto Carrillo and Angel Garza are going to be at the next AAA event. So yeah, there's going to be back and forth between the two. Now, according to Ernesto Ocampo of Super Lucha Magazine, the company has been signing several AAA talent, but the one that's caught everyone's attention is, of course, Alberto Del Rio, who is a former WWE champion. Now, trigger warning. The real reason why everyone is a bit skeptical of Del Rio returning to the WWE, because it was only in 2020 where Del Rio was charged, I believe, with sexual assault and battery. So to see this man in the WWE again would be something. Like, it would be a bit out of nowhere-ish. So yeah, it's interesting that this is something that could happen. I think Del Rio is, I can't even rate him because I can't see past what he's allegedly done. So I don't know why WWE would want to reassociate themselves with him. A lot have said WWE even associating themselves with AAR is, questionable. This company allegedly put Stephanie Vaquer through a tough time when some stuff was happening with her in her personal life. So yeah, this is a bit of a weird one to see to see them working together and allegedly re-signing Alberto Del Rio. I don't care for Del Rio as a performer, never have. But yeah, we're gonna see if this comes to pass. In other signing or re-signing news, Chelsea Green has confirmed she's re-signed with WWE. Fightful reported that Chelsea has signed a new contract with WWE. The specific details of the contract weren't announced, but it's a multi-year deal. I think that's a great deal for WWE because Chelsea Green is excellent. I'm still absolutely astonished how Chelsea Green wasn't on the WrestleMania card. It baffles me because of just how integral she was, and I know she is just like in the mid card, but I think when you do as good work as she did last year, put your body on the line and just so creative and stuff, and even her demeanor and how she's carried herself since the disappointment of A, not being on WrestleMania, and then B, losing her US title, I think she's been great. So it's disappointing, and I really do hope they put more effort into their women's mid carders and the women mid card titles. But yeah, Chelsea Green will be staying in the WWE for the foreseeable future, which I think is a win. So now it's time to kind of book her accordingly, in my view, because she's been very good to the company since she's come back and hit the ground running and stuff. And some AEW news around contracts and stuff. The Righteous have left the promotion. According to the company's roster page, the Righteous are no longer part of the company. PW Insider confirmed that the tag team have left the promotion as of the end of April. I mean, these guys, I think they had like one half serious feud or something like that. You know, they were supposed to be part of a faction with Lance Archer. Then Lance Archer transferred himself to the Don Callis family. The Righteous were pretty much, you know, fixtures of Ring of Honor, which is just whatever at this point. So we are moving on from the Righteous. All the best to them. But I can't say that I particularly cared. I wasn't really fond of them as a tag team anyway. So yeah, we'll crack on. Right, so let's get back into the Raw review. So this Raw review began with the Raw show began with Jey Uso making one of his big grandiose entrance. I felt like Jey Uso really looked like a star on this episode of Raw. He came out, title around his waist, chain swinging. He looked like money. It was definitely a good look for him. He came out and he said, obviously, Logan Paul, I know you're in the building, but you know, come out now, sort of thing. And it wasn't Logan Paul that came out; it was Paul Heyman. And Paul Heyman got into the ring, and him and Jey Uso, a bit of, you know, verbal back and forth, where Paul Heyman was basically, Jey Uso, sorry, was basically saying, you just betrayed, you know, someone in my family. What are you doing here? And Paul Heyman proceeded to go off. He told Jey Uso by himself the fact that you betrayed someone in the family first. This is what my reason for this. This is my reason for your CM Punk. He talks about how he's not the bad guy and all of this kind of stuff that Roman squandered, all the building up of the bloodline and the family and Roman Reigns himself that Paul Heyman did over the last 5 years. And then Paul Heyman was just left to Solo's bloodline and the Tongans, and Roman never came back to back him. He had a lot of good points to justify his turn on both CM Punk and Roman Reigns. He went off, he was screaming, he was red in the face because of the tan he had all over him. And comedically, in a way, Jey Uso said, like, are you okay? Like, what has this got to do with me, sort of thing? And he proceeded to kind of talk about Jey now as the world heavyweight champion, that Seth Rollins needs the belt, which I thought this was the beginning of the brilliance. How he talked about Seth Rollins needing the belt. The belt brings a level of control, and that he needs to take it from him. And then he offered one of these famous favors to Jey Uso, and that he's going to have Seth Rollins as the next challenger. Jey Uso can pick, you know, where it's going to be. And Jey Uso done the big baby face thing, kind of showed no fear, I'm not scared, and said the next time I'm going to face him is tonight. So Jey Uso, quote unquote, fell into the trap that they were trying to set, to get that next opportunity. So yeah, it was confirmed later on in the night in the main event. Jey Uso defends his World Heavyweight Championship against Seth Rollins in his first ever title defense. Like I say, this was some solid stuff between the two of these guys. I think I know it wasn't immediately after. I think it was I think I can't remember, but it was like Paul Heyman went backstage. He told them that he's fallen for it, basically. And Seth Rollins said, that was the plan, etc., etc. And then Paul Heyman schooled Bron Breakker on what just happened, how they basically manipulated him. So it's still showing how Bron Breakker is sitting under the learning tree of these guys and learning the tricks in the trade of the business and how to get your way and stuff like that. So it was a really, really strong segment. And like I say, it's all about putting the emphasis on the belt, on the title. That is the most important thing. And with Seth Rollins now elevated to this position that he's in, it's like, why wouldn't he want the world title? Let's not beat around the bush about all of this. He's immediately put his name into the hat for the world championship. And Jey Uso didn't have to accept his challenge there and there. He could have said, "Okay, I got Logan Paul on Saturday. Let me go and face him next week or at the next pay-per-view or Saturday night main event in a couple of weeks." Jey Uso accepted the challenge. Seth Rollins laid out the challenge. It just made the belt feel big time somewhat. Definitely from the mid-card position, or like I was saying, definitely raises the profile from what's his face, Logan Paul wanting it and having this match that they're going to have a backlash. So yeah, I thought it was all really good stuff. On the night, we had matches with Penta versus JD McDonough. This was a good match. Good to see JD McDonough back. Surrounded. The ring was absolutely surrounded by the Judgment Day guys. But Penta still managed to win. He won with a Mexican destroyer, which basically shot Penta into being the number one contender for the IC Championship. And a match got made. Dominic Mysterio versus Penta is going to be happening, which I think is a good match. I think it's a really good match for Dominic Mysterio to use as a means to, launch his I don't want to say launch his career, but launch his IC title career. Him and Penta, there will be shenanigans. He will win the match. Dom will retain, but there will be some shenanigans that get him across the line, if you like. So yeah, I think we are looking at a place where Penta is going to be a good challenger for Dom, and yeah, Dom will find a way to retain his title from that match. But yeah, Penta and JD McDonough was really good. I think it was a really solid match between the two. Sheamus, Austin Theory. Now, we had a backstage segment where Grayson Waller was basically told who his opponent would be. Austin Theory came along. He didn't know who the opponent would be. And Grayson Waller was like, "Oh, you take the match. You take the match. I'd rather you have it," sort of thing. So Austin Theory took the match, not knowing who it was. He came out to the ring, and then Sheamus made his long-awaited return to Raw. Sheamus and Austin Theory was really fun. It was a good match. Sheamus got the win. However, it begs the question, the likes of Austin Theory and Waller, what are we doing with these guys? Because as a tag team, they haven't done nothing. As a tag team, they've been teasing a breakup for the best part of 9 months, maybe. What are we doing with these two? Because they're not even like consistently on TV every week to say these are young men getting the exposure. And at this point, I think the tide is turning and everyone's slowly getting behind Austin Theory. I think the way he was booked and how he was like Vince McMahon's special project once upon a time, it didn't put him in like the best of light with the people, with the fans. However, I think now through maybe it's the Grayson Waller being a nasty friend to him, or people just realizing Austin Theory's talent again, fans are slowly getting behind Austin Theory again. And I think we need to separate the two of them. Austin Theory needs to break free of Grayson Waller. And I think Grayson Waller could have a very good, solid kind of mid-card career sort of thing. But I think there's a lot of potential in Austin Theory, which we are just watching go to waste. You know, potential is only achieved if you get to work, sort of thing. And with Austin Theory, he's not being given enough to do to kind of exercise that potential. A lot of people have called for him to join Seth's group, which I don't mind. He's got history with probably has history with Paul Heyman, because I know Paul Heyman was somewhat close to that era of Evolve when Evolve was happening, not under the WWE banner. But yeah, you know, Paul Heyman would have probably had his eye on Austin Theory those times. So yeah, I think we need to really do something, save Austin Theory, because yeah, right now his career is not going anywhere fast, and people that shouldn't be surpassing him are surpassing him. So yeah, he needs to be put to work. But good to see Sheamus back. That was a plus out of all of this. We had another backstage segment where AJ Styles, he came into the fun house. Is that what they call it? The Judgment Day fun house or clubhouse, sorry. And Dominic Mysterio, Dominic Mysterio was basically complaining a bit about, oh, like this guy's coming for me, this guy's coming for me, being an IC champion. You know, it's difficult stuff, sort of thing. AJ Styles had come into the ring, and AJ Styles blubbered his way to basically saying that, yeah, he's coming after the IC championship, whether Penta wins it, whether Dominic retains, that he wants next, basically. And Dominic Mysterio said to Finn, you know, you've got some history with this guy. Why don't you take care of him? And Finn started kind of bubbling, like, what am I doing? Just doing your dirty work now, sort of thing, before he flipped and said, no problem, I'll take care of him. So next week, we've got Finn Balor versus AJ Styles, which is you know, no matter how many times I think we see it, just it's like a nod to that special time in the independence. You know, where, to be honest, these two missed each other. These two missed each other in that sense, but just because of where they've been, you know, both successful leaders of the Bullet Club, I think this particular bout always holds like a special place in people's hearts. So I'm looking forward to this match next week. Probably get an AJ Styles win, which I think would be good to kind of help his trajectory needed. Yeah, I'm looking forward to getting that particular match. Next up, we had a Becky Lynch segment where Becky Lynch had come to the ring and she was talking about taking out the trash. This analogy, it went on and on and on, but it was a pretty good analogy how she kind of referred to Bayley as trash. She referred to Lyra Valkyria as recycling, and that she's just recycling stuff, and now she's got to take out the recycling. Talked about the disrespect and everything like that, how Becky is number one at everything she does. And Lyra came out and said that, you know, Becky recycles everything she does. These are old gimmicks and old moves and everything that she's always doing, sort of thing. And Lyra's really, you can see Lyra's growing into herself. She's really believing everything that's being said now. Lyra was talking about the fact that Becky's mad because this is one first that she isn't, that Becky was the first SmackDown Women's Champion. Becky was the first woman to main event WrestleMania and win. However, Becky's not the first Intercontinental Champion. That is Lyra Valkyria, and basically Becky's jealous. So really good stuff there from Lyra. These two got into a bit of fisticuffs again, where I believe Lyra was the one left standing tall. Doesn't bode well for the weekend when Lyra's got to defend the IC title against Becky Lynch. But I think for this belt to kind of get more shine on it, it's decent. It's a decent choice if Becky Lynch wins it. Then maybe Lyra can chase it for a while and maybe win it back or do some other stuff. But I think Becky's definitely helped to get Lyra some more TV time, develop a certain side of her which we hadn't seen before Becky returned. So yeah, I think that's been good. I think the overall, I'll put it this way. I don't believe Becky as a heel. I do not believe Becky Lynch as a heel. I just feel she is doing what she needs to do to get her mate over. I need to put myself in a bad position to get a couple boos from the crowd and verbally stand there like a lemon so Lyra Valkyria can berate me and get over and develop her character. Cool, I'll do it, no problem. I feel that's what we're seeing with Becky. I don't feel like we're seeing a fully fledged heel, a nasty heel. I think she's being quite cool. I think she's trying to pop the crowd and entertain and stuff like that. Yeah, unless this gets more serious, I don't think we can buy Becky as a heel. I think we can all kind of see through what she's doing and ultimately doing a decent job of it, like I said. But yeah, I don't know what it is with the likes of John Cena and Becky Lynch as heels. We just cannot buy it. We can't buy it at all. So yeah, but I think she's doing a good job though. Um, so yeah, that was that particular segment. Next up on the night, we had an absolutely fun match with Io Sky and Roxanne Perez. You see these two women in particularly. Like, firstly, in fact, let's talk about the champion first. Our champion, Io Sky, the genius of the sky. I think Io might be like the most in-form worker in the company right now. Like, if you had to rate last, I don't know, 5 to 10 performances, Io Sky is right up there, if not number one. I just think she has hit her form at a great time since becoming champion, or just before she became champion, and since then, all till now, like it's just performance after performance. She's gathering steam. The crowd are absolutely loving her. This thing is going crazy right now, like, and I've been a big fan of her doing that for quite a while now. So I'm liking the fact that it's catching traction with fans and everything like that. I just think like Io Sky is yeah, there's no other performer right now in the WWE that is putting on matches to the level and caliber that she is, night after night after night. Like, yeah, sure, you might say she might has her deficiencies and promos aren't her strong suit and all of this kind of stuff, but she is over. She is over. And I'm very interested in making this division now almost like the workers belt, the workers women world title sort of thing. I think we need to do something like move Rhea onto SmackDown, and we can leave this division full of the likes of a Julia, a Roxanne, a Io Sky, of course. Kyrie hopefully comes back. Asuka hopefully comes back. Like I feel like just bin damage control and just let these ladies all fight for this title. I think there's a lot of stock there. So yeah, I think that could be some really good stuff. But yeah, Io Sky is on the roll, and Roxanne Perez. Roxanne's doing some great stuff. Big up Eric in the chat that says, "What is Finn and Roxanne planning?" We saw them backstage talking. Maybe Finn's trying to recruit another member to the Judgment Day, but Roxanne Perez has taken the main roster, by storm. She's like a duck to water. Like she just absolutely gets it, sort of thing, and a real prodigy, like she calls herself, a real prodigy. Yeah, just hit the ground running. So a lot of good stuff, and that seamless transition that I've been talking about from NXT to the main roster is happening now. It's happening more than ever. It's not like a hard, oh, who's this person from NXT that's come up here? We're getting used to, appearances, so that by the time a draft happens or something, it's like, yeah, we know who this person is, sort of thing. We know what they're about. So yeah, a lot better of a transition from NXT to the main roster, to the main audience, which is great. But yeah, these two had a really good match. We saw Io and Roxanne do a series of rolling each other up, trying to get the win before Io eventually got the win. We saw Roxanne Perez extend her arm at the end of the match to shake Io's hand, which I thought, okay, they're turning Roxanne. I fully fell for it. I fully fell for it. I said, they're turning Roxanne. They've had a handshake. Roxanne's left the ring. Then when they loomed on Io for too long, I said, there it is. Julia came out, blasted Io from behind. Roxanne Perez laughed, got back into the ring. They both laid the boots into Io Sky. Rhea Ripley, nowhere to be found because Rhea was in Australia doing press for the WWE for the Crown Jewel that's going to be in Perth, Australia in October. But next week, Rhea Ripley and Io Sky versus Roxanne Perez and Julia, which will be good. And I believe that's Julia's first match on Raw. So, yeah, brilliant for those ladies all involved. They're getting us all used to the ladies that are going to be at Evolution later this year. Making them familiar with the main roster audience, which is good. Next match on the show, we had Otis going up against the returning Rusev. Rusev looks great. Like, Rusev looks like he's so in shape. The bald head suits him so well. He looks so menacing. I don't really like his entrance music, if I'm being honest. I like the Titron and stuff. I don't mind it, but I don't think the entrance music I don't think it hits hard enough from the jump. It's too slow and builds into it too slowly, I think. But yeah, I think it was great to see him back. Him and Otis had a decent match. There were some decent spots in there, but Rusev dominated the proceedings as per. Rusev beat Otis with the accolade, made him tap out. Referee had to try to pull Rusev off Otis at the end of it. We saw Akira Tozawa come into the ring and trying to stand tall. Looked like he was scaring off Rusev. Rusev got out of the ring, backed up a bit. One Tozawa and Maxine were attending to Otis. Rusev ran back into the ring, attacked Tozawa, gave him a powerbomb onto Otis, and then continued to beat up the two of them. So, yeah, Rusev is a heel. He's firmly a heel. I want to see where he goes from here. Maybe has a match with Tozawa, but I definitely want to see him kind of start mixing it up with the serious guys and the big boys on this roster. I don't want him to get lost in the shuffle. I don't want him to just kind of mill around in the mid card. If he goes, which I think he should eventually, if he gets into like the Intercontinental title picture and stuff like that, I don't think that's an issue, but we need to make sure we're elevating these titles. You know, we want these titles to all feel very, very special as opposed to just a mid-card title. So I think the WWE's got some work to do there for the men and women's mid-card titles. But yeah, I think that's where we need to start placing, because we've got a lot of guys, and we've got a lot of guys like a Miro, like a Aleister Black, even a Penta, a Ray Phoenix, LA Knight. Like, there's a lot of guys here in this same kind of tier, and it's like, well, we've only got one space for a world title, so we need to make the mid cards feel special and, you know, raise the value of that with the people involved and the stories that they're telling. So yeah, I think it's important we fix that middle of the card and give stuff to these returning guys to do, as well as some of the younger talents, the Carmelo Hayes and, you know, the Braun Breakers and Austin Theory that I mentioned earlier as well. Next up, we had Adam Pearce in the ring, and Adam Pearce had called upon Pat McAfee to come out from commentary and enter the ring. He was about to have a face-to-face segment with Gunther, who made his entrance. These guys promised no physicality, and they had their match at Backlash, and they just wanted to say, you know, some final words to each other. Pat McAfee started with this whole thing of rating what's this place called, Nebraska, that I think they were in, and just, you know, giving props to their fans, the state, sorry, the country, the state, the football team, all the usual pandering and stuff like that, which made the promo long-winded. But when he started really talking at Gunther, I thought like this promo was very, very good. He's done it 2 weeks in a row now. I think just in terms of performance, there was maybe an element of, okay, I'll say this. He was very kind of cocky and kind of the aggressor in the conversation when he was delivering those parts to Gunther and saying that, it looks like the wrestling has kind of left you a long time ago, and this has just become a job to you. You're losing yourself, you're turning soft and all of that kind of stuff. He was very kind of cocky in his delivery and, like I say, the aggressor with all of that. When Gunther took the mic, the mood changed. And that's why I held myself, because he did display a level of, okay, I've woken up the beast sort of thing. Gunther said some stuff as well around, I'm only not touching you today. I'm sparing you. This is my choice that I'm leaving you today, and all of this kind of stuff. He talked about McAfee's family a bit, and his closing line of basically something along the lines that only God can stop me from removing my hands from your neck come Saturday. I said, yeah. That is a crazy line. And I don't want to sit here and criticize, I should have sold it more or anything like that, because I do feel like from the beginning of the promo, where he had all that bravado and stuff, like all that energy, to the end of the promo, you could definitely see a change in him. And even when he returned to the commentary desk next to Michael Cole, you could definitely see like, oh, yeah, this is what I signed myself up for, sort of thing. So yeah, I feel like that it was a very good promo segment from both men in the end. Pat was very good. And yeah, we've got this match on Saturday, which I'm still a bit confused as to how we do this, how we book this, because I would love to see like a 4 minute squash match where Gunther absolutely rips this guy to shreds, like absolutely mains him. However, I feel like at the same time, there's something in Pat McAfee having some hope, having some like spots where it's just like, oh my God, will he win? And could he do this sort of thing? And before Gunther wins, I don't have any doubt in my mind that Gunther's winning. It's just how it needs to be done. And I'll be interested to hear from you guys, what's the best way to do this? Because do we want a commentator that last had a match back in 2023 or so to look credible against a former world champion? I don't think we want that. So it's just a case of how we book this match, whether it should be just a straight up squash or maybe about 10 minutes long where Pat gets some stuff in and looks like he could win before Gunther annihilates him. That's the conundrum. But yeah, I think they've sold me on a match that I was thinking at first, why are we doing this sort of thing? I am looking forward to this between Gunther and Pat McAfee. And then I think that takes us to the main event. So, like I said at the top of this felt big time. And I'll say now, I didn't go into this main event thinking that Jey Uso was going to lose the world title. I thought, yeah, maybe shenanigans or something. We get some rubbishes this whole match. At the same time, okay, wait. So let's talk about the match first. I thought this match was excellent. I thought this was one of Jey Uso's best outings for a very long time. Maybe since the Saturday night main event where he faced Gunther. I think this was one of his best outings. I think this was really good. Seth Rollins in a Raw main event, it hits different. I don't know what it is. Like he definitely comes alive when he gets these Raw main events. And I thought this was another example of that. This was really, really good. Both men brought it all. A lot of near falls between them. Of course, Bron Breakker at the side of Seth Rollins done his bits to try and get involved and help Seth Rollins overcome Jey Uso. We eventually saw Sami Zayn come and kind of even the playing field a bit before CM Punk came out to even the playing field with the steel chair. Now, this should ultimately be a Seth Rollins disqualification win. The bell didn't ring to my knowledge, and maybe they'll just class it as a non-contest. However, it should have definitely been a Seth Rollins disqualification win because Seth Rollins was attacked by CM Punk. So the match was thrown out ultimately. And for me, this accomplished a couple of things. This accomplished a couple of things because now Seth Rollins, we know, is probably somewhat heir apparent to this world title. But now Jey Uso has faced him, and Seth Rollins can go and face CM Punk. Seth Rollins can go and face Sami Zayn. Like, we have bought Jey Uso time to an extent, if you see what I mean. We're not going to be on some, well, why doesn't Seth Rollins just go and beat him for the world title? Seth Rollins has said he wants the world title, so we still know that. The match didn't have a definitive ending, so he can always revisit it. But right now, Seth Rollins has been, I guess, sidetracked by CM Punk and Sami Zayn. So it definitely achieved that, which I think was good, because otherwise you'll just be thinking, well, Jey Uso has the title, but it's only a matter of time before he loses it to Seth Rollins. That's one thing. I think another thing that we need to talk about is, why didn't Jey Uso just beat Seth Rollins here? Like, why are we scared of champions beating challengers? What's the hard part of Jey Uso, who is the world champion, who beat Gunther? Paul Heyman even put over the fact he beat Gunther. He choked out Gunther at WrestleMania. Jey Uso could have beaten Seth Rollins on Monday Night Raw, and we all would have sat up and been like, that's our champion. That is a world champion. He has beaten one of the best wrestlers this company has to offer to win the title, and now he has beaten another one of the best wrestlers in this company. What would it have mattered to Seth Rollins to lose that match? And I'm not saying this is a Seth Rollins problem. I'm just kind of back at this stage of that in wrestling. I feel like we overprotect people for what reason? Like last week I said, for me, Jey Uso beating Logan Paul come Saturday, it hardly means anything to me, because Logan Paul isn't like some formidable wrestler that has loads of accolades, that has loads of history behind him. You know, he doesn't make Jey Uso any more of a champion in my eyes if Logan Paul loses to Jey Uso on Saturday. But if Jey Uso would have beaten Seth Rollins on Monday Night Raw, dead to rights, beat him clean, 1, 2, 3 in the middle of the ring, all of a sudden you start looking at Jey Uso different. All of a sudden Jey Uso's like, that is a champion. He's just beaten Seth Rollins. He's beaten Seth Rollins. He's pinned him clean. Seth Rollins could have still licked his wound. Seth Rollins could have still had an interaction with Sami Zayn and CM Punk, and circled back to Jey Uso and maybe even beat him later on down the line. But for right now, when we're trying to get a man across as the world champion and trying to establish this belt than more than just a big IC title in the mid card, like I don't understand why we just didn't feed Seth Rollins to Jey Uso. It's just maybe just me. Maybe it's just me, but I just feel like it could have gone. I feel like Jey Uso benefited and looked great within all of this. Like I said, the Paul Heyman promo, the Seth Rollins promo, and all of this kind of stuff anyway. But if Jey Uso would have just pinned Seth Rollins, I just think it helps so much. And if we're going to keep being scared to make people lose matches and lose to a champion, like, does anyone look at Seth Rollins any less if he lost to the world champion? I don't know. I don't think I would. I don't think I would look any less at him. I just feel like, yeah, the world champion is feeling more like a world champion. And that's probably one thing, if we're honest, that we're all struggling with. That yes, this man is carrying the belt, but do we believe he is a world champion? You know, I bet you believe more he's a world champion if you pin Seth Rollins. So maybe a missed opportunity there. But other than that, I thought that, like I said, the segment was great. You know, top guys, credible guys wanting the title that Jey Uso has will make this feel like a world title. Former champions coming back for their gold at Jey Uso will make this feel more like a world championship. I'm sorry, for me, Logan Paul versus Jey Uso, which will probably open up Backlash. It's whatever to me. That makes it feel like Jay's holding some mid card title. It makes it feel like Jay's holding some mid card title. So for me, we've got to put the right guys against him to make sure that we're elevating the title on every outing, you know. In other news, obviously now we've got, I guess, the trio somewhat of CM Punk, Sami Zayn, and Jey Uso against this conglomerate that Seth Rollins is forming right now. Just him and Bron Breakker. Who's the third man, brother? Who's the third man? I mean, just by going at who's facing each other, you could say Logan Paul could be the third man in this faction. I know the internet wants it to be Austin Theory, and it also makes sense to be Austin Theory. It'll be interesting to hear what everyone has to say in terms of suggestions for who could the third man be for Team Rollins, or whatever we're calling them right now. Yeah, Bron Breakker, Rollins. Let's see who the third person could be. Maybe they're planning to do some type of 6-man tag Saturday night main event, or maybe later on down the line after that show. But it looks like they could potentially build to that as a bit of a, you know, pit stop in the middle of this feud. So that would be interesting. But yeah, very strong main event. Like the main event got people talking, it got people excited. You can see the people in attendance were very excited by the main event. It was very good. It was very Raw-esque to have a main event like that. And you know, really strong wrestling, really good angle involved as well. And of course, when the show went off air, we saw Jey Uso was doing the rounds, high fives, kissing babies and stuff like that. And Logan Paul came out the crowd, cracked Jey Uso in the face, laid him out. So WWE didn't put this on the show because apparently they wanted this to be like a social moment. They wanted people to kind of talk about this. Oh, this happened after the show, sort of thing. Which is another way to kind of promote fights and stuff in this day and age, I suppose. It's no issue. But I can't lie. I have no energy for Logan Paul, and yeah, in anywhere near the world title. I just don't have the energy for it. And I think I'd give Logan Paul more of a chance if Logan Paul was in Seth's faction. If Logan Paul was a third man, and I mean like permanently like the third man, not just like a means to a 6-man tag, I think I would care a lot more about Logan Paul. I think it'd be a good dynamic. I think it could fit very well. It could be fun as well. Yeah, if Logan Paul was in there, I would care a lot more about Logan Paul than I do. But right now, I just don't care. I'm so over him. I don't want him anywhere near the world title. He's not bringing anything to make this feel like a world title match. So just want him out of it, really. But yeah, that's how we ended the show. So we have Backlash on the horizon, and that's going to be a very, very interesting show. I look forward to seeing that show and seeing what everyone thinks about it. But yeah, obviously in the comments, let me know what you thought of the main event angle. Let me know what you thought of Seth Rollins versus Jey Uso. I thought it was a really, really good match, really, really fun. I just think if Jey Uso got a clean pin on Seth Rollins, yeah, people would sit up and take attention, be at attention. But we went another route, which is fine. It kind of makes sense. But these are the things for me that start taking someone, more seriously. Are they going to have this kind of reign or that kind of reign? And yeah, this as a first title defense, pinning Seth Rollins clean. We could have done it, in my opinion. We could have done it. Right, guys, that is the Raw review. I hope you all enjoyed it. Yeah, tune in again, WrestleManiac UK YouTube channel for your reviews and opinions. Hit the like button on your way out. Subscribe as well if you are new to the channel. And I'll see you next time. WrestleManiac UK signing out. And I'll see you soon.